All right, Brian, if you can grab the microphone and direct me to where we're going. If anybody can give a shout out, where did we end off last time? I don't remember. I'm sorry. What was the last thing we did?
The last thing we touched was Mishlei 10:13 and Genesis 49:10. We looked at the scepter, the rod.
Hold on. I'm remembering it. It was like a question if it was two things or one thing. Your heart's got to be in it. Okay, your heart's got to be in it. That's where we left off. That was a good one. Hold on a second. I'm going to turn the volume down on my iPad. I want to ask you guys a question. I kind of like last week's class, and it got edited by James, and I put it on YouTube under private settings. I really don't like listening to my material. I don't like it at all. Does anybody have any suggestions of if and where, if it's good in terms of listening for people outside of this class? To what capacity people could listen to that class? Is this a good move or bad move? I have no idea. I just give the class. I don't listen. I have no idea what was said in terms of thinking of what people hear and downtime and jokes or whatever it was we do. How do you guys feel? This is just a feedback. I have no idea about last week's class being handed out and distributed for people to listen to. Is it too bizarre? Are we too much in our own little cave here, our own Gare cave, or can people jump in and hear that? Well, I mean, I'm not talking in terms of quality. I know what it was. I'm talking about, can Bob Jones off the street hear this class last week and understand a little bit of what we're getting at? I think it's a risk too, but I don't know. We're safe here. Some of that will be given up a little in the cave. I'll tell you what. If anybody wants someone to hear it, okay, message me, and I'll give you whatever. I don't know what YouTube gives me for that. It's private. I don't know if I get a password or whatever it is, okay? If anybody wants to hear that one in particular, I like that class because it was a great end message, and it really just kind of felt like a real class at the end. Yeah. I mean, it was like a real class. All right. So, Travis, message me at some point after the class tonight, and I'll try to figure out how to get you in there. I've never done a private class before, so I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'll figure it out, though. All right. Now, with that said, Brian, we'll give you that. Eric, but in general, for people in the class, talk to Pam Rogers. She keeps everything filed away for people that are regular attendees of class. All right. Now, where's the next verse, Brian? We did one verse last week. So where are we going next?
Okay. If I understand my notes correctly, we should touch Mishlei 18:15, and we should hit Hosea chapter 14, verse 10.
And what is that? That's the Navon stuff?
I believe we're still finishing up Navon.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. We got to understand Navon anyways.
Let me double check.
There's no way around it. It's a huge topic. And Jethro with his whole based in with Moshe, that they wanted the Navon. So we have to really know that concept. All right, what's the verse? Brian, you got the verse for me?
Yeah, I got Mishlei 18, verse 15.
Okay, so don't go anywhere. Hang with me. 15. Leave Navon. You kind of. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Okay. Let's start with 14, just to get a lead in. 15. Just 14 and 15, and look for my signal to stop if I need to stop you. Okay. Go ahead.
And this will be from Chabad. A man's spirit will sustain his illness, but a broken spirit, who will bear it? An understanding heart will acquire knowledge, and the ear of the wise will seek knowledge.
That's a nice verse. All right. There's no ambiguity in the English, that's for sure. And for straightforward Hebrew. Let's see what we find. Let's go to the Aramaic. 15. Liba de misbayin. Remember we said bayin is bin, so like the heart that split hair, or the split heart, which basically means a fine-tuned heart, right? A heart that can understand classification, a subtle heart. Not just a big base person with a heart of gold necessarily, right? It's a knowing heart, really. Leiv Navon, a knowing heart. Nikne yediasa. He will acquire yediasa. I like this word, yedia, knowing. I want to just throw in my my Job class here, because I've been thinking about this concept. Another I like to make reasons why I'm not a good wrestler, because I'm not. And at this stage of life, I'm learning why I wasn't. But these are good concepts. When I watch, again, pardon me about wrestling, it's a perfect metaphor. When I watch a great wrestler, it's on the high school level, because remember, high school is not Olympics; it's just kids. And I was a kid, and that's how I relate to it. But where I was just trying to, go out and be like, and attack, these kids that are good, you can see they know, like, what move to do. In martial arts, you guys that do martial arts know this as well. And I know everybody in here knows what I'm talking about, right? It's like, if that doesn't work, you transition to that, and you go through your progressions. A football quarterback, right? What makes a great high school level quarterback? Now, I'm not talking pro, because that's already body level and strength and skill and everything else. But in high school, right, you got to know how to, go through your progressions, check downs exactly, know where your receiver can, the height he can jump. If you got Chunk over at wide receiver, he's not going to jump to catch the ball. But if you got Michael Jordan as your receiver, you can just chuck it up in the air and he's going to jump up and catch it. Right? On the high school level, they call that, a 5 whatever blue chip athlete, right? He's really not that good. He just knows on the left side of the field, I can throw it anywhere. On the right side, I got to hit it between the numbers. Now, if you take me, if I would have been a high school quarterback, I'm not thinking along those lines. I'm thinking, don't get killed, don't get sacked, and try to complete a pass. But if you're trying to complete a pass, you're not too good. Right? So you really have to be a Talmud Chacham. You have to be a scholar. And whatever it is you're doing, right? If you're working at Taco Bell, the difference is, do you know 20 different kinds of burritos, or do you just call it a burrito? Right? And for the Ger stuff, very simple. Is it Gentile, or is it like 20 billion types of Ger? Same thing, right? If you get into Ger and you know the 20 million kinds of Ger, then number one, it's not conflating. Number two, it's not that complicated. Number three, it's just like doing your check downs and wrestling moves and chain wrestling and martial arts, like your forms, right, for martial arts. It's impossible. But if you know the 5 kinds of kicks, the 5 kinds of punch, then it's very simple. If you do homework, there you go. Eric Bryan said it spot on, right? When you do your homework, the test is ridiculously easy, right? I didn't do my homework. I didn't take notes, and I didn't listen, so I struggled on the test. That is so antithetical to high school in America. I don't know what's more antithetical, right? And that is the bottom line. When I'm taking the test, what was the name of Bob's dog? I'm like, oh, man, it was a Fido. Was it Spot? But if you just read the first chapter, once upon a time, there was a guy named Bob, and his dog Fido was a nice dog. Every kid that read the book, the first chapter, got that one right. All right, enough of that. But you understand the concept, right? An understanding heart has to be able to relate to the material that he's confronted with. Otherwise, you're going to be doing way too much work, and that's when life becomes unbearable. All right. But that's the word yedia. Yedia. Liba de misboyen nikne yediasa ve'udna. What's this word ve'udna? That's the ear. Ve'udna de chakime. I want to look up this word udna. I'm not convinced it's ear, but I think it is in the Aramaic. Dalet and Zion can usually flip spots. But the ear of the wise men, tivoye mondoya, that they request manda. I'm not convinced. What kind of manda? I want to see manda. I think there might be a connotation over there. All right, you guys in with me? You guys inside? One or two? All right, here we go. Let's just see if we can find a little surprise. I'm not expecting a surprise, but you never know. You never, ever know. First, I want to see if ears are really ears. And it could be there's something there. All right. Udna. Udna, how do you spell that? Udna is with an olive. Udna, so it's udna. 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 Okay, we're seeing some here. Let's see here. So one definition is a leather bottle or a jar. Footstool. Wow. Yeah, see, I think we did good here, guys. So here it's also an ear. Let's see. Yeah, it's an ear. And it can also be like a footstool. All right, this could be a double entendre. Yeah, this is interesting. So, a footstool. What is a footstool? Let me just think here. Footstool. Wow, that's kind of a strange double entendre there. I mean, the jug, the bottle, the jar, that definitely fits. Right? V'ozen chachamim devakish das. So they want to, the store, but a footstool. The double footstool of King Solomon. Let's keep that in our back pocket. I'm not convinced we're done with that one. Manda. So a lot of times when the commentators pick their words in Aramaic, they pick the word, and also Rashi in his commentary, that can serve as a double entendre. And that usually determines the word they use. So instead of saying ozen, right, in Aramaic, you change the dalet and the zayin, you get udna, and then you just brought in three more words. Manda. Manda. Here we go. Knowledge or wisdom. Possessors of knowledge. Now that's nice. See that? There you go. Possessor. Tivoy manda. So the ear of the wise men requests the knowers of wisdom. Right? Travis Armstrong calls everybody in the world that has wisdom. That's how I met Travis Armstrong. So that's what it is. It's when if you have if your car breaks down, you don't want to go to some guy that doesn't know cars. You're gonna look for the friend or guy contact you have that knows cars, right? You want the Talmud Chacham or the scholar or the expert in whatever it is you're doing. Right? If you're looking to be, enroll in, or I don't know, you're training for whatever it is, and you do want to go into Taekwondo, don't call the karate guy. Karate's not exactly the same as Taekwondo. You want to get Taekwondo, get Taekwondo. You need to get the master. So if you really are, if you're looking to perfect your intellect, and your heart knows the difference between karate, kempo, taekwondo, all these things. Number one, you got to know the difference. Number two, you got to be able to hear the difference. Number three, you got to be able to put things up on a pedestal, your footstool, to ascertain what is what, who is who, and how is how. And you have to be a wise man. You're not going to be a successful wrestler if you're not a Talmud Chacham, scholar, wise man of wrestling. Like, what do they say? Even Mike Tyson was a student of the sport of boxing, and that was apparent when he was younger, right? So whatever it is you're doing, you have to become a bit of an expert and look to seek out fellow experts to further your expertise. 1 or 2. All right, so now the Navon, Lev Navon. What we're looking at here is there's a mosquito. Won't go away. Hold on, this guy's driving me nuts. The engine that drives this enterprise of yours, whatever it is you're doing, let's make it super boring. Let's go back to driving school. All right. This wasn't a true part of the story, but let's just pretend it was. Let's say that I really had a question on my driving test. I realized I was stopping being moron man. Loretta, you made it. Wow, I thought you were not going to be here. Mazel tov that you came. Again, this is not a true part of the story, but let's pretend it is. So I realized, again, dramatizing, I realized that I was missing crucial information on my pending driving test. And even though my book is in English, I understand that, again, remember you guys in America on the driving test, you have to know that the I think it's 1/16 of an inch tread on your tire. Is that still what it is? An eighth or 16th? Remember that? You have to know the amount of minimum tread on your tire. Everyone used to always say that was like the question on everybody's test. And also, the blind people with the white tip or red tip on their cane, that was also, every test was going to come with that. So let's say you're adroit enough in your Navon heart that there's going to be the tire tread question. And you don't know if it's 1/16, 1/8, 1/10, 1/12. They're going to get you with those questions, right? Every wisdom sells you a lemon, 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Right? There's always the lemon. I mean, look, in Noahide Ger, we have the lemon principle. Which rabbi is selling the lemon, right? Which Ger gets it, which one does it, which one's the lemon? I'm sorry to say it like that. It's just reality. I mean, look, the presidential election's coming up. Which one's the lemon? We don't want to vote for the lemon. Which one's the lemon? Israeli politics. Is Bibi the lemon? So God serves up the lemon. And the way that you ascertain, I mean, this is really where we have the word discern. I mean, this is a good word from where we're at. This is exactly where we're at. It's the word it should be. You have to learn. Right now, we're really in the context leading into what's going to be the inevitable English when we get there, in a week or 2. So your heart has to know, and you got to go back to the driving story to pick the person in the class. Which one of these 30 Israelis is going to be wise enough to know what I'm talking about when I'm like, hey, you know how we have to have the tread on the tire, and I forget if it's a 16th of an inch or an eighth of an inch. Now, if you're going to talk to Bob that doesn't know even what tire tread is, try getting that across to Bob. It's going to be a nightmare, right? You're going to be like, hey, Bob, you know how we have to know the tire tread? He's going to say, what? Oh, there's grooves and divots and in the wheel and the tire. He's like, yeah, well, we don't have a flat tire. No, it's not a flat tire. It's, how we have to know how deep the tires go? Well, the road's fine, man. It's not even raining outside. It's like, okay, Bob, okay, enough of Bob. So you got to be able to know in your heart and articulate in your heart, and time is running out, and you don't want to, you can't go up with and ask every single person. right? You can't ask, hi, I'm just wondering if you're a lemon or not. My name is David Katz. Are you a lemon? So you got to have a quick heart, knowing heart, alert heart, aware heart, right? I am, what does King Solomon say? I am asleep, but my heart is awake. So then you have to be able to articulate and get your mind, speech, thoughts, action in a row in a very short algorithmic processing time to get your answer. Right? I made a post on Facebook today. It's called critical thinking, 1 or 2. Right? You got to be able to size it up real quick. I mean, this is, please know this word. I'm introducing you to a new word. You must know this word. Everybody, you don't have to say it on the microphone, but say it at home. Chop. Type 1 after you said it in your own quarters. Chop. All right. You got to know that word. That is your soul. That is your lifeline. There's no other word in the world than chop. Okay? If you think I say ger a lot, you should hear in the yeshiva, all they say is chop. Say it again. Say it 20 times. Chop. You'll say in yeshiva, did you chop pshat? Which means, did you get it? You say, did you chop pshat? Did you get it? So this verse we're doing here, this is Solomon saying, chop. For the love of God, start chopping. Right? If I were to go on Facebook the way I'd want to go, I would say, does anybody chop ger? Right? They're not chopping ger. Are you following my context here? There are those that it's not even I get ger. It's I chop ger or I don't chop. Either chop or you don't chop. If people say I don't blah blah blah, I say okay, you don't chop. You're not chopping. I mean, this is like real yeshivish 101. Right? So when you're in your school of wisdom, whatever it is, right, Brian, if you're watching the instructor teach you a new move, right, you have about 10 seconds to chop what he did. Otherwise, it's going to be trouble, right? Whatever, Eric, with the guns in the firing range, I imagine you have a short window of time where you got a chop shot over there. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Am I right about that? I mean, this is the greatness of mankind. You guys ever see those videos of the Russian kids that go up on top of like towers and jump off and, go on the ledge, all those crazy daredevil stunt people, whatever, on YouTube? You see those guys? There's no time for making errors over there. They got to hop. And I see on one of the most brilliant things on the internet nowadays is, I think, the prowess of mankind's mind to hop at such a powerful level. Because, I mean, look, Tom Brady, the throws the guy does, I think he is – I'm not such a football fan anymore, but I appreciate sports to see wisdom in motion. And Tom Brady hops. You guys notice that? If you watch the highlights, he hops. He knows where he's going, yeah, but not even improvise. It's just he hops. He knows it's such a quick process. He's algorithm the whole thing. He has muscle memory. He knows it's martial arts at that level. It's a martial art at that level. You're just relying on wisdom. You're not even there. You're just wisdoming it. And that's where you got to be. It's really the spiritual master, like in martial arts. Wisdom must become a wisdom. Right? Without even thinking. You got to have it so much in your heart and on your mind. You are Neo in the Matrix at the end of part 1 with Agent Smith. Is my point clear, 1 or 2? And you saw it. What did Neo do? They gave him training programs, which is like a nice way of saying go after the master each time. Right? Your life is just a training ground. When you need to get to hop something quick now, blah, 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 you find the master. Right? I mean, that's what networking really can do. And I don't mean like, goofy social networking. I'm talking life networking. Right? I mean, it is improvising on that level. Like when you're when you're working in a restaurant and there's a slam, right? All the orders come in at 8:00, right? You gotta find the people that have wit and can hop real quick. You don't want to be caught with the people that don't hop. It's gonna be a long night. And the best staff units work the best when they're all hopping. That's it. You gotta work with people that hop. The Gear team has got to be a team that hops. And we're seeing right out there who doesn't hop. I hate to say it. There's no translation for hop, by the way. You just got to hop. You guys hop what hop is? You hop shot? 1 and 2. So for now, I want to ask hop. All right, here we go. So now we're inside. We got the Aramaic down. Let's see now what we find. But the Navon principle is, I think, where you lose yourself. You're not here. You got to really it really is like, again, wrestling is a great metaphor here. You don't ever wrestle a wrestling match. You train outside of the match, and by the time this is also why I wasn't good. When the match day comes, you cannot be trying to wrestle on that day. You're either prepared and ready to go because you hop or you're not, right? On the rank test, martial art day, you're not trying to do that stuff. You have to know it or you're going to look like a fool. So the Navon has to be such that you are hopping when you're not even trying to hop. That is the ultimate level. 1 or 2. You gotta, your heart has to be hopping on that really subtle level. Have any of you ever engaged in a conversation before? I know it's a stupid question. That's why I'm asking it. The brilliance of a real conversation is when you're hopping what the person's saying, and it's a dynamic formula expression of conversation. If you're not hopping and you're just like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, you're great. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Oh, yeah, I was there too. You're not hopping. And you're not really getting what they're saying. And it's not evil. It's not bad. But you're not maximizing what's going on. And ultimately, their soul's not in it, and neither is yours, and you're just what's called getting along. You don't want to just get along. You want to thrive. No, Brian, I'm sorry to paint the picture with politics, but I got to sometimes prove a point. Noah Hyde is getting along. Ger is effortless hop and thriving. Right? I got to beat that point down just because I have to. But that's Navon. Right? It was where you get gear on the run. You get gear on the fly. You get gear in the moment. Right? You hop gear in the grocery store and you make a note on your phone and to repeat it later to the other people that are interested. Right? That's Navon. It's life as the holodeck that you interact with, and it just yields its wisdom, and all the wisdom masters congregate together. That's what I call Metatronic. When you can get it to the point where you really are interfacing and you find this, the USB port to plug in. You don't have to use my metaphor. My metaphor is ridiculous, and I'm aware of that. But you can definitely get it to where, my friend Yishai, I think he put it the best way to me a couple of years ago, that life becomes node theory. He called it nodes. Just where all the conditions, and I'm using that word, conditions come together, and you pluck it like a guitar, or you strum it like a guitar. When you can play the guitar of reality, that's when you're hopping. That's when it is echoing out to you, and you are reverberating back into it. That's also a conversation, right? For those of you that heard my John the Gear at Best Buy, right? That was strumming the guitar, right? He doesn't know me, and I don't know him. But he knows that whatever he's talking to, some guy from somewhere, I guess Israel, the yarmulke and stuff, he apparently is into wisdom in music. Otherwise, he wouldn't be interested in what I'm saying. And I'm saying this guy, whatever he is, he's not selling me a piece of junk. That much I know. And we had a bond session. It wasn't time. As Mike says over in Waco, ain't got time. Ain't got time. You're part of the problem or part of the solution. That's what it was. It was, he didn't have time to play around. But if you have time to give over a download of information, then there's infinite amount of time. And that's when the Navon just takes over. and you just let it go, and you absorb the reality, and your soul basically is healed in that melding of souls, one or two. And that's where it's like a liquid transferal of soul. But you look for that message to come out as the weeks and days and months progress. Really, what is the soul and the blood, and which is called the nefesh, like the holy liquid of ourselves, that when we liquefy our innards, as King David says, right? My soul was like, he says, like, let go. Just when you let go of being tense and bound up, that's the knowing heart. I gave the metaphor to Russell today. You guys ever seen Terminator 1? You guys ever seen Terminator 2? Do not be Terminator 1. You want to be Terminator 2. Right? You want to be able to liquefy. Just let go. Pass through and go where you got to go. Don't be Terminator 1. We can all be Terminator 1. All right? I'm a big, tough guy. I can beat you up, and we can argue it out. We can fight. Right? That's not what you want to do. And, I'm technologically advanced. Okay, mazel tov. You want to be Terminator 2. Just where you just different level, liquefy, let go, and just where you're one with the creation. All right. That's that point. All right, 15. Now let's go to Rashi and see what Rashi's going to say. And he's not going to say anything. Now, Mrs. David, nothing. All right, no one's too keen on this one. Mrs. David, mi sheyesh lelev navon hine me'atzmo yakana hadas bebinas alev. So he's saying if you're a lev navon, you're self-driven, which I think we can understand that principle, right? Once I woke up in driving school, I was self-driven. I wasn't requiring Sami, the driving instructor. He knew that. I knew that. And I was well on my way to passing my tests, right? When I was moron man, I was under the control of the driving instructor, and whatever he taught, I was bound to listen to him. When I realized I had a brain, and I woke up and I could read the manual, and it was in English, and I have critical thinking skills from Torah, then you pass on by the class, the instructor, and you go in there and you throw it in full throttle, right? And that's really what you got to do. It is your responsibility to get up to par. And once you realize that you are responsibly par, I told this to Guillermo, who gave the Job class a couple weeks ago, right? It's your job to be trained. No one can train for you. So when you're being moron man, that's not a curse. That's time to just be moron and build up your training, right? You're not supposed to be enlightened. Just build up training. Useless facts, whatever you got to do. Because when the time comes that you wake up out of moron man, you're going to be armed. And when you're armed, then you can believe in yourself. Just like Neo with the Matrix. Then you put it in full throttle and the sky's the limit, I mean, at that time, you're armed with the Nokia phone that comes to you. Which I mean that literally. In today's smartphone age, you need your smartphone, one or two. And I'm serious. Because when you're at the grocery and you're thinking, right, you don't have time to wait, 5 hours to go call Travis to find out what was said on Facebook last week because you weren't paying attention. I need to know right now. So with global consciousness and all this stuff, the best thing I ever did for my work was get a smartphone. But I think it's the dumbest thing you'd ever get if you're not into wisdom. Who do you got to text at whatever hour, all hours of the day? But for wisdom, oh, man, Wikipedia on the call, YouTube on the call. I mean, it's essential, right? So once you're empowered with full throttle, then all your tools come to the forefront. And Russell calls that the tricks of the trade. And that it's also in your martial arts and sports. I mean, how many times, Brian, have you seen Michael Jordan grabbing the shorts of the enemy on the floor, right? Half the shots he made was because he was tagging on the guy's shorts. But that's how you do it. I'm not saying to cheat. All I'm saying is you start to be completely empowered. Okay. Aval chachamim she'ein biyadam ela ma sheshamu. But a guy who's wise, just the Sami, the driving instructor, Was he a wise man or a Navon? Go ahead and type it in. He was not Navon. He was wise. Good job, Brian. Because, again, I'm generalizing here, but I'm assuming he just 9 to 5, this is my job, man. I read driving manuals for a living. I don't really think about how great driving is when I'm taking my kids to school. All right? Don't call me, Rabbi Katz, don't call me on the phone and tell me your chiddush about driving to school. I really don't want to hear it. I just learn from the driving manual. That's all I do. So he only knows what he hears, right? From at work, when they tell him, Sammy, we got this new law, right? But he's great. He knows it. He can recite it like poetry. Sammy, the driving instructor. Hine oznam tivakish, v'takzor acher hadas l'shmoa mezulas ki ein lehem bina lahavim me'atzmam. Sami's the guy. You know why Sami got the job? Because he saw that in his driving teacher school, Bob, the head instructor, was like the king of the road. And Sammy said to himself, this guy literally invented driving in Israel. His name is Moshe Haaretz, and he invented it. I'm gonna kiss up to Moshe Haaretz, and hopefully he'll give me a promotion. And I'm gonna ask him everything. This guy knows it all. So Sami is like there taking notes, and he's talking, and he's the what do you call that? Like the student, right? He's not the master. Like Bruce Lee, Travis, you and I were talking about this today, and Chaim and I talk about this. There's Bruce Lee, and there's being also Bruce Lee or being Bruce Lee's best student. You don't want to be Bruce Lee's best student, right? There's a ceiling on it. You don't. You gotta be the best Brian, right? If you're gonna just be the understudy, then you're stuck, right? The whole thing with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was Isaac was not another Abraham. He was another Isaac, right? You want to learn from the best, but you don't want to be just the understudy, right? That's a klippa. You don't want to do that. So the difference is that, again, I don't know Sammy personally, but we're saying that Sammy is just, he only knows as much as the wise men that come in the driving school. The Navon, you guys hear that coming through the sound? It's kind of distracting me. You guys hear that? All right, good. So I'm not going to use myself for this because I just passed this ridiculous test. But let's just say that I really had a life-changing experience in driving school, right, where I realized it was all about the road. Right? I ended up writing like The Secret of Israeli Driving by Rabbi David Katz. So you would say that I got the information as being a Navon, right? I read between the lines. I was self-driven, self-motivated. I was an entrepreneur of Israeli driving school, and I invented new ways of improving the roads. All right, that's Navon. Sammy cannot do that. Sammy can only give the class 1 or 2. All right, cool. All right, so that's Mitsuda's David. Here we go. 15. We're gonna hopefully, God willing. Let me see. I think this one's gonna be pretty weak, which is good, as we got it good. Hold on, I like that roll bog. I like that roll bog a lot. Hold on a second. There's nobody over there. We got the Moabim's gonna hit it up. All right, we got 2 more commentaries, then we're gonna go over to Hoshea. Seichel Aish Hanavon, like the Seichel, that awesome Joseph property, okay? Like, Joseph at his best. Awesome, dominating, brilliant, shining. Haish, he is the man, right? Sammy basically just sat down and said, Rabbi Katz, you're going to teach all the driving because you know how to better the roads in Israel. Way to go, you. Hanavon Yakana Das Kedoshim Ma'atzmo. I literally got prophecy in driving school, and I reinvented the entire Israeli driving system on the spot. That's a fake story, but imagine it happened, right? And it was like, the God's gift of roads came down. Ki merov pilpula, because I realized on the spot, all my youth I was gaining knowledge of roads and I didn't even know it. Right? When I was driving in Centerville, taking like notes, I just thought I was mapping out the neighborhood. Turns out I was figuring out the universe about roads. All right? I know it's dramatized, but are you with me? We're talking about supreme mochana godless, high intellect, right? In our little fabricated story. Yaitzi davar matot davar. And I just started, it started snowballing. I started realizing, man, even the drive to driving school, right? The parking lot of the driving school was, this brilliant thing in the parking lot of the 45-degree angle. Who could make this stuff up? It was brilliant how they did it. Of course, driving school would have a brilliant road that leads to driving school, right? Are you with me? It's a funny story. But the wise guy, the wise man, Yavakshu Shmoa Hadas Liamunoto, Sammy wants to go to hear that lecture on Sunday night for his stage training about how to be a better Sammy driving instructor. He doesn't want to hear from some hotshot kid, Dayton, Ohio, on the spot, realize that I am God's gift to creating roads in Israel. He wants to pay the $5, go to a lecture on Sunday, and hear it from Professor Bob, right? And you get a little textbook and a certification. That's what we want to hear. Guys that know it, and they give classes on it. All right, that's the difference between the wise man and the Navon, right? So the Navon is the one who just improvises on the spot. We dramatize it pretty radically, but I think you've all had your Navon moments and you've all had your wise moments, right? When you really, like going back from last week, when your heart just really doesn't care that much, you're just wise at best. When your heart is totally in it, that's when you're at your Navon, 1 or 2. All right, and you see the difference, and you see the success. When you really love something, this is called passion. And this is what chesed is. Real kindness it doesn't mean kind like, oh, hi, how you doing? Okay, good, that's good. That's not what kind means. Kind means when it's exactly the right thing. Right? If Travis comes over, he says, Rabbi Katz, I'm really kind of hungry. I say, Travis, I knew you were coming and I made chicken wings. He's like, man, I didn't even realize I wanted those chicken wings. How did you know? That's like the one thing I would have loved to have had, and you knew it. That's what chesed is. But if you're really not into the wings, it's like, yeah, all right, I don't know. Kind of a vegetarian, vegan, but I don't know. I go against it sometimes if I have to. I don't want to be rude, but so chesed is when you're just spot on, hitting the nail on the head. And so that kind of brilliance of mind to know what another person wants and needs. Obviously, marriage and relationships are primary in that regard. That comes from being a Navon, right? When you heard the voice in the voice, when she called and said, I was hoping to get blah, 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 and you picked it up and you did it, you prepared it, you got it. You were Navon, you were into it, it was passionate. But if it's just wise and calculated, that goes towards cold-hearted, and that's just called, again, getting along, as opposed to in love. All right, now we're at the last one before we go on to Hosea. The Malbim. Chacham kibel chokei hachachma bekabbalah ein lo mehem yediah brura. So the Chacham here, he's saying, is even Kabbalah, which means he's sharp. You know those guys that their heart's not totally into it, but they can always show up and get shot. And she was always filled these guys. They're not masters, but they can always get it. They can always pick up the slack and catch up ground, and they don't have to be on top of it every day. That's the wise guy. Ki ein al chokei chachma mufas rak yevakish das al yedei ozno. He just needs to listen. He just needs to have this ear there, pick it up. I mean, that's like, high school, really. Just be in class, pay attention. You can get your C plus B minus ratio. Go into college, have a nice job and a nice career. Yelech etzel navonim l'shmoa mehem taimei choki chochma b'kabbalah. So the wise guy, he hangs out with the Navon, right? The really, how would you say it? The guy who's smart. There's a big difference between smart and brilliant, right? I'll let you maybe do an English thing here in a second. Smart is a smart guy hangs out with brilliant people, one or two. That's what he's painting the picture. Aval Navon amazing devar matov devar. Who you can das all you liba mavin devar matov devar. Das ukinin lo the answer devar kashatul chern. The Navon isn't calling up the smart guy for answers in terms of black and white. He'll call a smart friend to listen to in between the words of the smart people to get even smarter or to become even more brilliant. Okay, I think we're done. Yeah. All right, we did it. So that is Navon. I think we pretty much know Navon inside and out. Therefore, the discerning, I think we can understand the word discern. And in our text, literally our word that we're working on, I think we've forgotten by now what it is. Lahavin. Was that our word? Yeah, we did Musar. So lahavin, right? Lahavinim rebina, to split hairs, which basically I'm going to call this, where I'm standing now, is brilliance, passion, dedication, discernment, algorithmic process, formula, Metatronic. You with me? It's the wrestler that becomes part of the mat, right? I don't even like the word expert so much. It's the star wrestler. It's the guy who you see. He looks like a brilliant, beautiful craftsman doing his thing. That's it. It's the wisdom. You when I watch Tom Brady, you think you're watching an athlete. You're not. You're watching wisdom in motion. All right, if you know enough about wisdom, you will realize it's not a macho jock thing. It is a wisdom in motion. I mean, Dennis Rodman was a wisdom in motion. Right? Mozart is a wisdom in motion. It has nothing to do with the quality of what you like or don't like. It's just occupying the pathways of the firmament in motion. All right. Hosea, let's go. Where are we at? Okay, where's the verse? 9 in English, 10 in Hebrew. 14 out of 10. Okay. All right. This better be good, Stanek Jr. I haven't seen this one yet. I don't know why we're getting into this. We picked it for a reason. 14, 9 or 10. Let's see. Looks like it's like 8 also has it. Hold on. Was it? No, that's Lebanon. Yeah, 10. Okay, read. 1 second. All right, so just read 10. Go ahead, real slow.
Who is wise and will understand these? Discerning will know them. For the ways of the Lord are straight, and the righteous shall walk in them, and the rebellious shall stumble on them.
This is a famous verse. You guys know this verse? Watch this. Watch this. Makos. Talmud Tractate Makos. If I remember correctly. You guys want to make wages on this? See if I got it right. Any takers here? If I remember correctly, the Tractate Makos, the Talmud, says the entire Torah can be summarized in this verse. Let's see if I'm right. 1 second. I know this verse. 1 second. Where do I know it from? Hold on. Yeah, it's got to be here. It's got to be here. There's a passage that you can summarize the whole Torah in one commandment. But, oops. Maybe it's not here. Where do I know this from? I know this verse. 1 second. Where do I know this verse from? That's 1 second. Here we go. Ki Yasharm Nazir and Harias. All right, let's go. I thought it was somewhere else. I do know this, though. Where is that? Ki Yasharm Darki Hashem Tzadikim Yochubah. Man, this is awful familiar. I know this verse. We got to find this. All right, here we go. What is that? What is this? Yeah, what is that? I know there's somewhere. This is a famous thing. Hold on, let's jump in. This is really driving me nuts. I know this verse. Where is this from? Ki Yashar Nazir 23. No, let me just get Nazir for a second. Let me just see if it references somewhere else. I still think it's there. Nazir 20. What is that? Nazir 23. Baba Basra. Nazir 23. Let's see here. Nazir 23. We're going on a rabbit trail. Let's see if it yields. Hold on. It's not there. Let's see. All right. We'll look later. Let's go. There's whatever it's worth. This is a famous verse. So let's go. 10. Okay. Min chokim. Mi chacham v'yaven eila. Min chokim d'yisbir elaine. Mi chacham v'yisbir elaine. Suchlasim. So Navon is again Suchlasim v'yadiun. Are tiknan or chosa. So he's calling Toknan or chosa. The Hashem Tzidkaya. So from the wise are brilliant in these. Their brilliance in knowing the fixed ways of God and righteous ways of going in them. Yechun bahon, like living with real shefa, like great bounty, like really seeing the path of God. I mean, the shefa and the hashgacha, the divine providence. You really know where to go, what to do. That the pathways are how did I say pathway in the previous verse? I used the word rakia. How did I use it? Wisdom and motion. Right? You're in that wisdom groove for life in this world. But the wicked are removed from them. They are not given access to pathways of wisdom, and they go to Gehinnom, al the law hilchu bahon. Because basically, I'll give you a metaphor, okay? If you made the bus, I'm going to call that living in Gan Eden. right? You got to get somewhere. Bus comes. You got a bus. You got your seat. Are you in Gan Eden? One or two? All right. You missed the bus by about 10 seconds. Are you in Gan Eden or Gehenna? Well, are you in Gehenna? One or two? Right. But you really are in Gehenna. I mean, you are not in a good place, are you? When you miss that bus, I mean, you're in trouble. You really are. You're not good. Yeah. So imagine your whole life is missing the bus. That's where you get this whole blame thing, you know? We joke about the wrestling thing, and thank God I fixed it. But imagine if everyone was my wrestling coach. You know, whoa, they didn't teach it to me, and they didn't give me the wrestling shoes that were right. And I always miss the bus. But a successful life of wisdom is when you make the bus enough that you're going on your way. I think that's a perfect metaphor, really. One or two. So, mi chacham yavin eile. Let's go over it again. From mi chacham, hakim is that word, the same word used for Joseph as a Navon. Right? So he was like the master of the natural wisdom of the school of Shem. Right? So, what that means is you were going to miss the bus, but you understood the shortcut of how to get to the bus stop. If you don't know that shortcut, you're never going to make the bus in time. So that's the kind of wise person you are. Do you saber that you brilliant, like, oh man, well, it was the right day for the right bus line, and I know the shortcut by Bob's house, and Bob doesn't care if I walk through his yard. I'm pretty good with Bob. And it's just, man, what mazel, right? The number 5 bus at 5 o'clock in Bob's yard and the shortcut, and I got there even with enough time to chew a piece of gum, one or two. And the other guy's like, oh man, I can't walk in Bob's yard because Bob's, he's always complaining about the lawnmower. So I got to go the long way. It's raining. It wasn't raining at 4 o'clock, at 5 o'clock. For me, of course, it's raining. And why can't there be a shortcut? God, why can't you provide shortcuts in my life ever? Oh, no, I got to do the hard work. It's always about the hard work. No, everybody else has it easy, but not me. No, look, everyone's got a car, but I got to take the bus. Whereas the other guy, he has the brilliance and know-how, and he knows the fixed ways of God. I know Bob is okay with me going through his yard. I don't have to guess. I just pull the trigger and shoot, one or two. The other guy has what's called doubt, suffix. Suffix is that which damages your soul. All right, they're gun-shy, they're hesitant, they're afraid, nervous, paranoid. And why are they always the ones that get mugged and robbed and beat down and lost and perplexed? That's the difference. One knows the pathways of God of wisdom. I mean, look, if you put me to play quarterback against the Bengals, I'm going to have some problems, right? Even if you give me 20,000 linemen, I'm going to have problems. But if you know the firmament and pathways, you just shine brighter and brighter. And the ways of God are righteous. So you're not even worried about exploitation. Like, maybe I really am abusing Bob. I shouldn't be using. No. If you know this wisdom, it's righteous. You go with it, and it's all good. And you go with it when the chef is there, the bus is shefa, and you're going to a good place. The other guy's in Gehenna. All right, so the Navon, he is the one that has, again, as they say in Texan Kabbalah, Mohin, the godlut. He's got Mohin, the godless. Why? Because all the conditions come together from love, right? Bus at 5 o'clock, Bob's yard, shortcut. No goofy guys sitting next to me, get to chew a piece of gum. I'm 30 seconds early, missed the rainstorm because my great scheduling. You have been blessed with tremendous mazel in Shefa 1 or 2. That's right. That comes from being a Navon. All right? It was not an accident that you made friends with Bob next to the bus station. It is not an accident that you have business dealings at the bus station next to Bob's house, and that you had this one last piece of gum that you forgot about, and you didn't even know you had it. Now you have time to chew it. Now you're enjoying it, right? You're enjoying life. You are not in Gehenna. You are in the Garden of Eden. These are not accidents. You're planning your whole life, just like we said with Sami, right? When I was the world's greatest road maker, right? It was because that was not an accident. That I had friends that taught me the wisdoms of roads. And my friend Bob, his dad was like the inventor of roads. That's not an accident. It's not an accident that when musicians end up in the same band, right? It's not an accident when you get married. You have Mochen the Godless. You have blessings from God. You have Gan Eden. I mean, this is what wrestling is. Cael Sanderson went like 159-0, never lost. Why? How can it be a guy never loses? Because he had Mochen the Godless, right? That's his thing. This is his passion. It's not that he's unbeatable. He just is always in great position. You know, why is it some guys work a kitchen great in a slam? They know where to put the potato skins in the fryer, right? You want to go ahead and put it in now because there's an order. 3 potato skins. Not now. Why would you put that in now? Well, because we got the order. No. That's the Batman and Robin meme on Facebook where he slaps them. No. But the people are going to complain about their potato skins. We had a guy named Chef Roger at Joker's Comedy Cafe in 1996. We called him Chef Roger. He was the master. He was your classic chef. 60 UIs. Just a total classic guy. But he taught me the wisdom of the kitchen, right? You don't put the potato skins right away. They take like 2 seconds to cook. Do the hard thing first. It's going to take forever. Get it out. And then you bust out the potato skins and the chicken wings last. It'll all come together. Bam, bam, bam. Prioritize. All right. Here we go. Mi chacham bechem. Okay, v'yaven eila mi chacham bechem. He's one of those leiv l'chul elu v'yoshav eli. Rashi's not impressing here. Mi chacham divrei nothing too profound that we don't already know from our research in Metzudas David. And Metzudas Sion is quiet. So here, the Radak, you got to understand the rebukes that I speak until now. All right, so that's interesting. So how did me chacham v'yaven eila Navon v'yedaki yisharm? Wow, that's hard. He's trying to blend the rebuke in there. That's interesting. How's that work? Because Shalim Moshe and Navon so amar mi bechem chacham v'yaven eila tachos shedabarti ad ine. Ki yisharm dark. So the real wise guy, he understands the rebuke, that it's not a bad thing. Right? When Tom Brady throws an interception, okay, is Bill Belichick really mad at Tom Brady? Or is he just saying your wisdom can get a little sharper? You see what I'm saying? At this point where we are, he's not going to get benched or fired. It's really about perfecting the golf swing. But the wicked, again, you have it in for me, you're blaming me, it's that kind of thing. So when the prophet ends by saying the righteous will go in the ways, improvement is part of wisdom. I mean, what are you trying to do really every day with your Navon brilliance? You're perfecting it. Right? How many of you have a meal or a dish that you cook, that you like to cook for yourselves? For me, it's chicken curry on Friday night, my Shabbos meal. Right? Are you always trying to perfect it? Even if it's just how to flip the eggs in the pan like the pros, just some little trick. A better pepper, a better hot sauce. Right? You always got to tweak it up. That's a rebuke. right? So when I come to your house, Travis, I say, look, your eggs are good, but there's this pepper in Israel that'll make it really great. That's not an insult to you. It's just another wisdom nugget you don't have. But if you're really sensitive, you're going to be like, hey, what's the problem? I make eggs since I'm like 4. You're the first person to ever criticize my eggs. So there you go. Okay. Tzadikim, Radak, Yakiro, Viado. All right, the righteous recognize. So basically, bottom line, why do you have an algorithmic heart in the thing that you are algorithmically advanced in? The answer is you are righteous. On that thing, whatever it is, whatever wisdom you're doing, you're in it. That's right. And why was I not a great wrestler? Basically, I was the Russia. I'm the heel. I'm the WWF heel. I'm the no-name guy with big muscles that was a heel. That was me. Right? I'm just in your way. I'm a stumbling block to you getting your big belt buckle championship. Right? I mean, I had bad intentions. I wanted, a big trophy, whatever it was. This guy, he wants a scholarship, to please his family. They come from a legacy of wrestlers, and if he loses, it's an embarrassment. I just want like a bowl of Oreo ice cream. It was pathetic. My head was in the clouds. It was pathetic. Whereas the real guys, they have a mission and a goal. And I'm watching the wrestling videos, and it's like, my goal was to, before the season, like I didn't have a goal. My goal was to look cool in front of my friends. That was the extent of my goal. Right? And wrote it down. David Katz, look cool, don't look dumb. Right? That's not a righteous goal. I mean, even I think we can all appreciate in Ger Noahide, what is your goal? It's the same thing. I think that's what people can't wrap their head around. What is the goal? The goal is, it's a righteous goal. World peace, people understanding, spreading the light, bringing wisdom to and Giloi Shechina to the earth because it's absolutely awesome. How about that for a goal of what Ger is? I can certainly tell you Noahide is not that, and that's okay. I wasn't an evil person for wanting Oreo ice cream in my sophomore year of high school. It just meant that, I didn't take wrestling as serious as the other guy, even though I would tell you up and down I did. And I would blame the wrestling coach. It was his fault that my ice cream doesn't taste as sweet without a championship, right? Whatever BS I would tell you. All right, we've all had our failures. But your failures are a blend of wickedness in comparing and contrasting to a righteous, what did you call it? Righteous indignation, all these things, and passion, and for the love of God, whatever it is you're doing. It just so happens that Ger is very close to that divine story. Some people don't ever connect to a divine plan. Thank God for Ger. Wisdom is hard to grab onto if there's something not tangible. I was watching wrestling videos with Guillermo when he was here. And there's a kid that he was a brilliant wrestler. The problem with him is he has to invent his own Kabbalistic ideas of why he's great. He doesn't even know what wisdom is. He's never heard of Chachma. Now, I understood what he was saying, and he got it, and he's good, and he's clear. He's a righteous kid in terms of his wrestling. But he's making stuff up because he doesn't know. That's really where the soul shines, by eliminating doubt. See, I doubted myself in wrestling because I didn't know you can crank on some guy's elbow, and that's called a haka hiki hiki move, whatever it is. This guy realized, hey, I can crank on the elbow, the guy turns over, and I pin him fast. I'm thinking like, man, I hope I don't break the guy's arm. I better not do that move. I wasn't righteous. See, he was so concerned about not breaking the arm, he knew how to do the move. Why was I concerned about breaking the guy's arm? It means I wanted to break the guy's arm. And then I realized, man, you're going to break his arm. Don't do that. So it's not wickedness as you know it. It's more about right and wrong, right? The real, when you look in the real fine print of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it's really the tree of right and wrong. I was a wrong wrestler. These kids are right wrestlers, right? Ger is right. It's right there. It's right. It's the right intention. It's the right wisdom. It's the right brilliance. Noahide is not right for wisdom. It's maybe more right politically. Right? Ger's a horrible thing politically. You couldn't have a worse movement politically than Ger. Right? Noahide is brilliant when it comes to that. So, and it's not to judge one or the other. You know, for me, I think I'm the greatest wrestler that ever lived in terms of a guy who just wants to roll around the backyard with his buddies. I mean, to me, that's really what wrestling is. It's just nobody else feels that way. You know? Nobody else feels that way about wrestling. But, you know, the guy who wants the glory, I think he's a wicked man in my storyline. Because when you really think about it, why does he want that glory? But, you know, at that point, you can't compare. You have your path, I have mine. And the whole bottom line is Noahide is a path, Ger is a path. My wrestling is a path. I'm still teaching it today. And the people that I was, you know, competing with, Guillermo, look at Guillermo, who came to the Job class. Two guys, two radically different routes. Now he's emailing me on Facebook. He wants to learn the wrestling Ger wisdom. How amazing is that? You know, I was a wicked man in his path 30 years, 20 years ago, and vice versa. And now the paths have united. I mean, that's really what it's about. All right. So yeah, here, the Mikre Krab brings it. The prophet to Israel spoke of two paths before you, one that is good, one is bad, or one that is right and one is wrong. And again, right and wrong doesn't mean right and wrong. You understand how there's a difference between right and wrong and right and wrong? It doesn't mean like you're wrong, I'm right. Oh, you're wrong, I'm right. It's like wrestling. Yeah, exactly. That's it. You know, it's let's say I had to buy a stroller for my kids when they were babies. Or you know what? Forget this. You know, let me give a perfect metaphor. How many of you are aware that you live in a digital era right now with a smartphone and all this stuff? How many of you have bought in the last 6 months a digital device and you've been really upset you bought the wrong one? It didn't come with a USB port. It didn't come with the updated driver. It didn't come with the right microphone. It was an out-of-date camera, right? It was a perfect thing, but the one thing you could have used, it didn't have. I am notorious for this, especially because my lectures are on the internet, so I'm always upgrading my equipment. Like, this is a computer I got in Texas, right? And I got the HP computer, and it doesn't have a microphone jack. I'm like, really? You're actually selling computers now that don't have a microphone jack? Why? Because most people don't buy microphones. They're built in. Well, did you ever think about somebody that wants to do something a little bit more professional? No. We don't think about those people. But Dell does. Dell sells it with the jack. Oh, why didn't I buy Dell? So I did wrong, correct? Technically, by our terms of wisdom, I was wrong, correct? So when women tell us that we're wrong, it's not that they to get the man-woman thing. It's not you're a foul, evil Russia. You're so wrong. You are so wrong. Doesn't mean that. It's you bought the wrong one. Don't buy the HP next time. Because I think you're a brilliant radio host, and exactly lo nachon. HP is lo nachon. It's not ripe. You are better than that, Travis Armstrong. You are better than HP. You need Dell with a microphone jack, and you're going to speak to the world. You're going to be mayor. I want to run for mayor. So as Eric said, with the wisdom, you would have been more right. Right? And again, right is that chesed term, where it's spot on. Right? You want to walk away from the store saying, man, I nailed it. That was great. I got the perfect computer. Right? It does all my stuff for and that's where I walked away with from Texas. I realized whatever I'm going to make with my life, I'm it. I'm a rabbi. I teach. I have lectures. I'm probably not going to make the Patriots job for quarterback. I've accepted that. Right? I'm probably not going to get a call from Bill Belichick to try out. It could happen, but I doubt it. But what I do have is my Mazel and my Pathway, my Rakia, right? I can anticipate, microphones and radio shows, computers, smartphones. Why? Because I'm this is what I do. This is my job, right? I don't have to invest in sports stuff, hair gel, right? Some people do. What can you do? I don't have to invest in Mercedes Benzes and nice cars. Everyone's got their thing, and hopefully it's for the sake of heaven. And you get and do what you need, right? If I'm going to teach on the internet to worldwide, right, I have to have internet. That's not what's the word? Gashmias, whatever that is in English, right? It's just the physical world is here to serve the spiritual. But aside from the obvious heathen mentality, you don't want to be wrong, right? You don't want to be wrong because then it's a lack of wisdom. You want to get it right. And again, we're not saying right and wrong, right? Slap on the wrist, you were wrong, you're bad. It's you want to get it, like Travis said, nachon, ripe and fit. Exactly. I mean, Eric, you do the gun stuff, right? Do you want me to sell you a cheap gun or the wrong gun just because I think it's more convenient to not delve into the physical? I'll give you the wrong gun. How do you feel about that? Exactly. You're gonna shoot my head off. If you say you want a certain one, you want a certain one. It's just the way it is. All right. So now if I was to buy a gun, right? Am I the wicked or the righteous? Like Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction, right? Which one am I? I'm the Russia. I'm going to get you the gun that's going to make a mistake and blow some guy's head off. I don't know the way. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no way at all. So it's going to be Gehenna. I mean, literally, I could kill somebody with that thing. This is why you have to be an expert in whatever it is you're doing. You have to be the Navon. I am not a Navon in weaponry and that stuff. And you better be a Navon if you're in there. But if you're righteous, now it's something different. There's a wisdom to everything. I'm sure there's a whole wisdom to the gun world, right? More than I know. Probably a huge world of wisdom out there. Militaries are based off of it. All right.